Welcome back, everyone, to the Detox Your Dome podcast, where we explore all things non-toxic living. I am your host, Sophia, and today we are joined by Tricia, the co-founder of Sky and Soul, a brand taking a refreshingly simple approach to sunscreen with their truly clean, edible-grade, tallow-based products. In this episode, we get super granular into the technical aspects of sunscreen. We talk about the differences between zinc, non-nano zinc, and titanium dioxide, UVA versus UVB protection, FDA regulation, the nuances of SPF testing, the Korean PA+ rating system, chemical versus mineral sunscreens, and more. Tricia also shares the journey of formulating the sunscreen in their kitchen with 8 carefully chosen ingredients, as well as the benefits of tallow and ancestral skincare. This conversation also touches on some common sunscreen myths, the importance of balanced sun exposure, and the realities of building a business in the clean beauty space. It is an informative and inspiring discussion that I am so excited to share with you. Welcome to Detox Your Dome, the podcast, where we empower you with knowledge about the ingredients that make up the products that we use every day. And we help you to become a more informed consumer on your journey towards living a clean, safe, and toxin-free lifestyle. Detox Your Dome. Body, home, planet. Tricia, my first question for you is, do you remember the first time you heard about tallow or the first time that you used tallow?
There's no one specific memory, but I do recall when I would go to restaurants, sometimes they would use it for cooking meats. I'm not sure if you've ever had like Korean barbecue. I just remember they would use it to, warm up the grill and get everything greased up. So I would say that is one of like the first times that I really saw it. And then more recently, in the past few years, I heard about it again after just doing some research and, it popping up on Google as it's becoming more trending.
Yeah. Okay, so transparently, I don't know what tallow is. Can you explain to me / the audience what tallow is?
Yeah, of course. So tallow is rendered beef fat. And what that means is it's been slowly melted down. It's solidified into a smooth fat that is very shelf stable. And tallow has a lot of really good things about it. So it has a lot of vitamins like A, D, E, and it's also just really good for your skin health because the oils that it's made up of is actually mimics the oils on our skin and natural sebum. And so I like to say that it has a lot of skin loving properties.
I love it. I've also seen, because I first really heard about tallow through a family friend who used it as like skincare. She's like, oh my gosh, I lotioned on my kids. I put it on my body everywhere. And I was like, what is she talking about? And also at the time I had been vegetarian for almost 10 years. So I was like super out of the loop with tallow. But I
sounds like the opposite of what I want to do.
I was like, this just doesn't really seem like it's in my arena at all. I'm completely different now, but I've seen a couple creators be like, oh, I found this restaurant that cooks all their food in tallow, not seed oils. So it's so interesting. I feel like I'm always thinking about tallow as skincare, but it's like, no, it's really, you could use it as, your cooking fat as well. So we should try to find some restaurants in Boston that cook with tallow.
Yeah.
Do you have it in your kitchen?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I usually cook my steak with it and even like ground beef. And I've been to a restaurant, I think it was in the UK actually, where it was a steakhouse and they gave us fries and it was cooked in tallow and it did taste really good. And honestly, now that I think about it, I think that was the first time that I saw tallow in a restaurant, but the fries, and especially because it was there too in the UK, it just tasted really good.
Yeah.
Tallow usually is often like just thrown away, and so for our products, that's how we're kind of repurposing it and just minimizing the waste that ends up happening.
Love it. So it's upcycled, it's sustainable. You're taking things that otherwise would have been thrown away. I feel like this is happening. We had a conversation with Charlie, the founder of Jack Fur. He was saying how they use like upcycled apple and they use like these upcycled ingredients. And I love how entrepreneurs like yourself are finding ways to use these ingredients that otherwise conventionally, or, for the past 50 years, 60 years of industrialization, we've thought of this is just waste. We don't need it. But we're starting to realize, no, there's so much benefit of like all these byproducts of things that we're already manufacturing.
Right. Yes, for sure.
Okay. So I feel like to get to the place where you start a sunscreen brand that, the ingredients are so clean you could eat them, and you're an entrepreneur, I feel like there's so many things that have to be going right in your life. It's like you are super tuned into this whole area of non-toxic living and clean living, and you have this entrepreneurial bug in you to start a company. So tell us first about your health journey and kind of what put you onto ingredients like tallow in the first place, and what made you think, there's a need for something like this.
Yeah, for sure. I would say growing up, I would do some sports here and there. I would play sports for fun, but even just like getting physical activity in, like it wasn't really my favorite. And then when I got to college, the options weren't great like for nutrition. My co-founder and I, who is my boyfriend, we went to school together, and during that time we did gain like a significant amount of weight in our first like 2 years.
Same.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And
The dining hall food gets
Oh
to
my
you.
gosh.
yes. No,
Yeah,
it's
dining
now
hall,
looking back, I'm
drinking,
like, I
no.
don't know how I ate that every
Yeah,
day.
seriously.
Yeah. And then it was once I graduated, we ended up moving to Austin, Texas. And Austin, I think, has more, there's a lot more to do. So we were in West Lafayette, Indiana. Like we went to Purdue University
Nice.
before, and there's really not that much to do around there. Like the college is the whole town basically. And so when we moved to Austin, there was just a lot to do, like outdoors wise. And we met a lot of entrepreneurs and content creators. But while we were in Austin, we started just thinking more about our health. And I remember reading one book. It's called Boundless by Ben Greenfield. And in that book, it's a really thick book. It's a textbook. And I think it might be like at least 500 pages. It's very long, but I feel like it kind of covers like A to Z on, all these non-toxic topics. And it has a lot of research as well. Like there's a lot of evidence, like he links a lot of studies throughout it. And I think that was really when I kind of realized like, oh my gosh, there's so many things in like our daily life that I wasn't really aware of or I didn't pay attention to. And just the effects of that like over time with like our food, our fitness, our water, even just like little things like what we were taking in our environments, what we were being exposed to. And so I think that was like a little light bulb moment for me. And then speaking more specifically to Sky and Soul, so the idea actually started when my boyfriend Max, he was hiking Mount Kilimanjaro, and right before his trip, he was trying to find a sunscreen that, was a non-toxic one. And because I will say there are a lot of products out there that say they are clean, but there's actually a lot of toxic ingredients in them. And so he basically was looking at all these options and talking to me about it. And at the time, I was also going to a trip to Costa Rica, and we were just realizing that every option out there just had a laundry list of ingredients. And I was reading the list, and I had no idea what like all these ingredients were. You couldn't even pronounce them. And so basically, when he got back from that trip, we really started diving deeper into cleaner living and animal-based eating. And then that's how we stumbled across tallow because we were doing more research, basically doing like an animal-based diet and figuring out that tallow was this nourishing ingredient that people were using even decades ago. And it kind of had been, I would say, forgotten in modern skincare because, there were other things that took over back even in like the 1900s. Tallow was already being used way back then, but then there were like chemicals and other things that kind of took on the market. And so that's when we kind of were thinking like, what if we made a sunscreen that was clean enough that you knew all the ingredients and could pronounce it and, that they were edible grade.
Wow, there's so much there. One thing led to another thing, which led to another thing, and you guys found like a gap in the market, and you guys just took a risk and did it. So
Yes.
for the ingredients,
Mhm.
like how many ingredients are in Sky and Soul? And then
Mhm.
also for tallow, how does that benefit sunscreen? Like is it more for the moisture, for the
Mhm.
protecting the sun? What does each ingredient do?
Yeah, of course. So for our formula, it's made of edible grade ingredients. We like to say that it is safe enough that, many of the ingredients are edible, but we don't like to say that you can eat it because we don't like to
You can
encourage.
find it in your kitchen.
Yes, yeah,
Got it.
because
Okay.
I think
Has
some
anyone ate the sunscreen?
Yeah, so for some of our advertisements, I've definitely like licked it. Some of our
No way. Oh my
How does
gosh.
it taste?
it actually doesn't really taste like much,
Honestly,
surprisingly.
that's
Okay.
like a good I feel like that's a good sign.
Yeah, yeah. And we actually even had like we were testing it one time and our my boyfriend's dog was like sniffing it and like I think like did a
Give it
little
to the
bit and
dog.
that I was like, okay, that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah.
Um
Okay, so yes, break down the ingredients for us. I'd love to learn the benefit of each ingredient and what purpose it serves in the Sky and Soul sunscreen.
So I would say the main ingredient for UV protection is non-nano zinc oxide. And I do think that some people, when we say that it's tallow-based, some people who don't use sunscreen too much think that the tallow is the one that's providing the sun protection, but
Got it.
it's not. It's the non-nano zinc oxide. And for this specific zinc oxide, to like just break it down a little more, there's nano zinc oxide, which the difference is just the size of the particle. We use non-nano zinc oxide because with the smaller one, it can get absorbed into your bloodstream. And the way that it works is it has chemical filters. And so
Mm,
the chemical filters basically absorb the energy and turn it into heat. And sometimes because it's tiny, some of these chemicals can get into your bloodstream. Whereas with non-nano zinc oxide, it's a mineral filter and it kind of just acts as a shield. So it's a safer option to protect the skin.
can I pause you right there? Because I think something that you said was so interesting. The nano zinc oxide, that is technically a chemical sunscreen filter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the way
Mm-hmm.
that chemical sunscreen filters work
Mm-hmm.
compared to physical sunscreen filters is the chemical ones absorb the UV rays and turn them into heat. Whereas physical ingredients sort of like bounce the UV
Or a
rays away.
shield.
Yeah, they
Yes.
act as like a shield. Okay. That's
Yeah.
so interesting because how I understood it was that nano zinc oxide could absorb into your body, but I didn't really think about the fact that it's considered a chemical sunscreen filter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the chemical sunscreen, it uses like synthetic UV filters. And so those are the ones that are like oxybenzone, avobenzone, and octocrylene, like those ones. I would say a lot of the chemical sunscreens, they have those filters, and you're exactly right. So it absorbs the UV rays, and then that energy is transformed into heat. The main really issue is not necessarily even that it's just small, but that the chemicals involved in it can also have a chance of being absorbed, which can
Mm,
then like irritate sensitive skin or have like some sort of hormone disruption. And so for non-nano zinc oxide, it just sits on top of your skin and it
okay.
kind of just reflects or scatters like
Makes
the
sense.
UV rays away.
Okay. I have one more question about that before we move on to.
Mhm.
So, is the nano zinc oxide considered a chemical sunscreen filter because it goes through like a synthetic process of breaking it down further, or does it naturally occur? Like, why is it considered a chemical sunscreen filter?
Yeah, so there is like a chemical reaction and
Okay.
that chemical reaction is why it's like less safe.
Okay. Got it. So,
The one.
non-nano zinc oxide.
Mm.
That's our main ingredient. Okay.
Yes, non-nano. Yeah, it's kind of a tongue twister
Yeah.
because
And
nano.
that's actually protecting you from the sun.
Yes, it is protecting
So
you from the
where
sun.
does like the SPF come in? Like how are you testing it from like 30 SPF versus like 50?
So SPF tests for UVB rays. So there's like UVA rays, which are the ones connected to like aging, connected to like wrinkles, dark spots, things like that. And then UVB rays are for like burning. And these rays affect like the top layer of the skin. And I think that's the one that when people wear sunscreen more so, I would say, even though now I feel like a lot of people are wearing sunscreen also for wrinkles and aging. Most people, especially before, were wearing it for like sunburns and redness. And so SPF protects against the UVB rays. We do SPF tests for our formulas, and that's a whole nother thing. It's like a very long process that you have to go through. And for the difference between those, it's the amount of the like non-nano zinc oxide that's in it, like the concentration. And the difference actually for the protection is not very big between like SPF 30 and SPF 50. It's just maybe like 1 to 2% difference. Even though the number does sound really large, like the concentrations of the zinc oxide is not too different, if that makes
Okay. I
sense.
did
That's good to
hear a
know.
rumor that like above 50 like is not real. Like if you see an SPF above that, it's just that's just like a marketing trick.
Yeah, I was going to say I've also heard that, and I do think because it is really hard to get a very high concentration of
Mhm.
zinc oxide because there is a certain point where if you put more of it, I mean, there's like more white cast, it doesn't sit well under makeup and all of those things. So I think it is really hard because it protects already from like SPF 30 and SPF 50 are like 97 and 98% protection. And so to really get, I guess, higher than that is pretty hard.
Unless you
Moron.
want to be like an actual white piece of paper. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, like I got sunburned so easily and I was just such like an outdoorsy kid. I was like outside all summer long. And so my mom would
Mhm.
make me wear like straight up zinc. Like I would love to go back and find the container, like who knows what brand it was. But I remember her being like,
Mhm.
no, you have to wear zinc. You're not even allowed to wear sunscreen because, and I would just be completely white. But like it was the
Mhm.
only thing that stopped me from getting a sunburn. So like, I guess you could do that, but a lot of people cosmetically, I think, would want to
Yes.
avoid it.
Yeah,
I
and
love
yeah,
it.
I would say some people I know there are people who like to make their own, products at home.
Yep.
And it's very common, like, it's great that like, I'm very impressed by some people who do that, like, very regularly. I do think for sunscreen, since, like, there are a lot of tests involved with
Yeah.
it, I
Yeah.
would say it is better to just, buy it and, like, find a brand that you like rather than trying to do it yourself, because there is a lot involved with it.
Right. You want it to be effective more
And
than
like if
anything.
you're making it at home, if you cook it a certain way or do something with it, like it could
Mhm.
essentially diminish the concentration of zinc. Was that like a correct way to think about
Yes,
it?
yeah,
Okay. It's just
yeah.
not consistent. You couldn't really test.
It is hard because even when we just started out and we were like just right at the beginning and we were testing like these formulas, like we were doing at home and it's it's
Yeah.
it's a long process and it gets
Yep.
really messy.
I can't wait to ask you all about your formulation process, but I
Yeah.
think we should finish the ingredients that are in your sunscreen and then we can go
Oh
back to it.
yes. So for the rest of the ingredients, so there's tallow, and to answer like the main point of tallow, it really is for that nourishing aspect. That's the one that really gives like the moisturizing effect that people really like.
Yeah.
And that's also why our other products, like not just our sunscreen, but that's also why they have tallow for our moisturizer and then for our lip jelly and all our other products as well. And then for the sunscreen, there's also jojoba oil, which just
Nice.
helps with like the balance of it. There's beeswax, which is another popular ingredient that a lot of companies use. And then there's natural emulsifiers that really just help it keep it together and help keep it stable for like the smoothness of the formula.
And then like my biggest pain point with sunscreen is it leaves that like white film. How do you
Mhm.
make sure that your sunscreen goes like right through?
Yeah, so there is like the technology aspect of it. There's equipment that really like mixes it and there is like a process that it really goes through. And also I think the combination of the tallow and some of the other products, it just like blends well together and that leaves like less of a white cast than traditional ones.
I love it.
It's so good. Tricia sent me some Sky and Soul sunscreen several months ago at this point, and I was in
Mhm.
Florida on vacation with my family, and I
Mhm.
was with a bunch of my cousins, and like they're all boys, all 20-year-old, between 20 and 30-year-old boys, and
Mhm.
like. Listen, I've obviously grown up with them. They're my cousins. We've gone to the beach and the pool how many times? And my aunt's like, can you guys please just put sunscreen on? Like, please put sunscreen on our entire lives. And I have to say, I brought this tallow sunscreen and the entire trip, they're like, "Hey, Soph, can I like get some of that tallow sunscreen? Hey, Soph, can I get some of that?" I was like, "Yes, of course." It was literally out by the time I went home, and
Mhm.
I was like, "Wait, guys,
I love
you were
it.
asking me for sunscreen? Like, this is amazing." They loved it.
If you could win like that demographic
Yeah,
over, then like you're a successful business.
yeah,
Yes, no, that would be great. Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's also why a lot of moms, they're a large demographic for us because for their kids,
yeah,
they have a lot of trouble putting sunscreen on and just even just the like the worry of it being like toxic or anything like that. So we've had a lot of moms that are really happy and reach out to us that, it went on easily, and that like they weren't worried if the baby accidentally like ended up, touching it or like putting their fingers in their mouth or something.
So tell us about your formulation process. Tell us about like the mixing in your kitchen. How did you start this? And then kind of where you're at now.
And like how many tries it took.
Yes. Give us your fails.
Yeah, no. The mixing in the kitchen was definitely a lot. We, like I mentioned how some people were like to make their own products. We were just doing really a lot of research like online. We were already looking at other sunscreens that were out there and seeing like, oh, there are just like staple ingredients and like that are in all the sunscreens, of course, like zinc oxide, like I mentioned, and then, just looking at some other natural sunscreens that were already on the market. And then really it was just a lot of test and error from there. It's like I guess the amount that we were putting of each one, like the concentration, like that was a big thing. Because like if you'd put too much of this one ingredient, then it would turn out like too gooey or
So the
it wouldn't.
consistency just was
Yeah, the
not what you wanted it to be.
consistency was a big part of it. And then also in our initial like testing when we made like our first batch, we just like left it out in like, close to the sun, like in the window where it was like the sun was like
Beating,
basically
yeah.
like, yeah. And then it was just like melting. Like it
Oh
was
no.
Yeah,
it was
which is
just
like, I
not.
mean, it is like a realistic experience.
Right.
My
Mhm,
sunscreen is often in a beach bag directly under the
mhm.
sun.
That's a really good point.
So it
Yes,
works.
yeah. And then at that point too, we were actually it was like a tin. And so it was a very like different one as it was in the tube now. So yeah, we've also gone through a few different changes with the packaging. But
Was
yeah,
your
and then
kitchen just like filled with like jugs of tallow and beeswax and olive oil and everything?
Oh my
yeah, it was
gosh.
it was crazy. And
You're like, we have to
honestly,
eat out tonight because our kitchen
yeah.
is busy.
Yes, it was a very messy process, but I honestly cannot remember the exact amount of times it took. I just know that it took a while to
Yeah.
get it. But I think, after each one, we were like, that didn't work out or that was good. So then we were just basically learning throughout the whole entire process.
I love it.
Cool. Is there like a myth that you've heard with sunscreen that like we can just combat?
Well, okay, there's like two parts of it. Although we are a sunscreen brand, like some people basically say that you do not need the sun or like you need all the sunscreen, which yes, sunscreen is important, but the sun is also very important, We need the sun still, so it's not like you shouldn't go out at all and you should fear the sun essentially. Like it's still really important for so many things, like just in our bodily functions and just in our life. So, but
I
while
love
we
Yeah.
that
do,
Get
approach.
outside, get sun. Just wear your
Right.
sunscreen.
Right. It's
yeah,
good to like have the
yeah.
balance. Are there like times of the day that you don't wear any sunscreen, or like do you allow yourself to go out or, for a few hours, or are you like religious, like I will not go outside or even be inside without wearing sunscreen?
Yeah, I would say usually if I'm just going out for like a quick errand, like a little quick walk, maybe like 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes I won't go on with it, but definitely if it's like I'm going to be outside for a while exposed like in the sun. And it does, I know some people too just don't wear sunscreen at all, and
Wow.
then they say like that their skin, like whatever it is enough, but you do have to build that up over time. It's not like you're automatically protected. It's like, especially if you're in a more tropical area or you grew up in like an island or something, then
Right.
you've built it up if you're always outside. But
Right.
especially in some other
Yeah.
areas, like it's definitely not
Yeah, I do
the
feel
case.
like there's like a wave that happened like 2 years ago where people are like, you should be wearing sunscreen in the winter time. Like even if
Mhm.
it's raining outside, you should be wearing sunscreen.
Mhm.
So I do feel like there's like two buckets of people who are like the full 365 people, and then there's like the summer people.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Who doesn't love a candle? I know some of my simple pleasures in life include cleaning my house, getting cozy on the couch, putting on my favorite show, and lighting a beautiful candle. But what I don't love about traditional candles are the PFAs, formaldehyde releasers, synthetic fragrances, heavy metals, and volatile organic compounds that are often found in them. It definitely just ruins the experience for me if I know that I'm potentially breathing in carcinogenic or hormone disrupting chemicals. And this is why I almost exclusively shop Fate Naturals candles. She has somehow made non-toxic candles smell as potent as the ones that you would buy at Home Goods. I have yet to recommend this candle brand to someone who does not absolutely love them. What's also so fun about Fate Naturals is that she does these seasonal drops. So each season she comes out with a collection of 6 scented candles. The spring collection that just dropped has the scents Succulent Garden, Yuzu Blossom, Blueberry Muffin, Grapefruit Basil, Beach Bonfire, and Coastal Cottage. She also does a Candle of the Month Club where you'll be the first to try exclusive and new scents. The past few months have been Sweet Magnolia for April, which is a delicate floral scent, Lucky Shamrock for March, which is a combination of a crisp aloe and a zesty lime, and February was a red velvet cupcake, which was very sweet and buttery. I have tried lots and lots of candles, and I just always come back to Fate Naturals. They are always my first recommendation when someone is looking for a non-toxic candle. You can get 10% off any Fate Naturals purchase, including monthly recurring subscriptions, with my code DetoxYourDome. That is 10% off any Fate Naturals purchase with the code DetoxYourDome, spelled DetoxYourdome. I promise you will love Fate Naturals. We hope you are enjoying this episode and are learning so much about tallow and non-toxic sunscreen. I wanted to just take a moment to let you know about a special offer from us. As a listener of the Detox Your Dome podcast, you can get 10% off any and all Sky and Soul products with the code Detox Your Dome. That's DetoxYourdome. If you have been on the hunt for a truly clean tallow-based sunscreen for summer, this is a great opportunity to try it for yourself. Just visit skyandsoul.com and use code DetoxYourDome for 10% off at checkout. Okay, so sunscreen is one of the only personal care products, if not the only, that is regulated, which, thankfully there is some regulation in this industry. So tell us about the FDA regulation process for getting a sunscreen approved and your experience with it.
So for the FDA process, it was not an easy process. It's a very time consuming and expensive one. And sunscreen is an OTC drug, so it is classified as a drug in the US. And so
Got it.
It has to go through a lot of tests like SPF testing, stability testing, and it has to go through what they call FDA monograph requirements. Do publish our certificate of analysis for our ingredients on our website and our SPF testing, but
Awesome.
it is a lot to do because what happens, I wasn't there during the SPF test. It's it's confidential. It's like a trial, but
So you send the sunscreen away.
yes.
And how long does it
write the check and cross your fingers?
Yeah.
This works.
Yeah, no, it was very pricey. And basically, even if it fails, from my understanding, they get, a certain X amount of subjects, and then those people will perform activities, do it for hours, and then they'll monitor the skin reaction. And if it's even just a little, let's say it's supposed to be SPF 50, but it's SPF 48, and then you have to go back and do the whole
Oh my
process
gosh,
again.
wait, this
wow.
is such a process. Also, who would want to be a tester? They must be getting paid.
Yeah, that's why it's so expensive, because you're paying
Exactly. Yeah, I was always curious about that too.
Thank you to anyone out there who's done it, because
Yes,
you're
we
really the
really
frontline worker here. Okay, so it was a long, lengthy process and pricey process.
And was it a success first go, or did you have to go time and time again?
I believe we only did it maybe one. So I believe we did it the first time, and that one was it did it for the most part, but then there were maybe a few people that it was a little bit, we were unsure. So then we did it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you want to be absolutely sure.
Yeah.
And what does third party tested mean? And are your products third party tested?
Yeah. So our products are third party tested. So it means that it's, from an FDA approved lab, and that is not us doing it, but we did send it to someone else. But these labs are FDA approved, and we are, always trying to do more testing and test like every batch that goes out. And so that's really important to us. And, there are a lot of companies out there who actually don't do SPF tests, and they're like on the market. And
What?
I think some people, for our customers, I think they do really care about that a lot and they're really
Yeah.
aware, but I don't think everyone, necessarily
What?
pays
So
attention.
can that company be like sued? Like, is that illegal to do or
Yeah, like it is illegal. Like you should not be selling it without
yeah.
the SPF test.
Yep.
It's just like
But I
ethically
guess,
wrong too.
I
Like
know.
you
yeah,
sell
yeah.
sunscreen and then it doesn't work and like lives are impacted.
And what's kind of unfortunate too, especially maybe a few months after we came out, is that there were a lot of people like copying our product, or I
Mm.
guess people like that were, I'm not sure who, but they would publish it like fake listings on like
Oh my
Amazon or
God.
Walmart or something. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're not on those yet.
Oh
We're not
no.
Oh
there.
my God.
That's
What did
scary.
you do? Do you like find those people? Like,
Yeah, we just basically made an announcement and like put this like pin post on our page and sent out like an email blast. But we couldn't like really 100% track down like all
yeah.
these people that were
Yeah.
doing it. But the reason that we started like kind of cracking down on it more is because some of our customers were saying, like, let's say one person bought our sunscreen before and then she got another one, but then it was like from a fake listing, and then they would be saying that they would be burned or something like that. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, I feel so bad that this is happening, but yeah.
That's
That's
it's
so
evil. I mean,
annoying.
the whole
Mhm,
Amazon thing is so hard because like it's so convenient to get personal care and beauty products off Amazon, but you have to be so sure that you're buying it only from
mhm,
the seller's website because
mhm,
so I feel like this happens all the time. People are like, "Don't buy skincare off Amazon, whatever, because
Mhm.
it could be fake." And it's like if you're
mhm,
buying it from the brand's page, you're fine, but
mhm.
it's so easy for people to just be these like second party
Yeah.
listers and just
Yeah.
like print the label and then just create something and
Yes.
just send it out. Like it's
Mhm.
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah, and I think in the world we live in nowadays too, it's just like everything is starting to look more real, like
Yeah.
even the
Yeah.
scams and all
Yep.
the AI things going on, like it's really hard to tell
Right.
for some
Yeah.
cases. Yeah.
Totally. So I have a few technical questions about sunscreen. I know we talked a little bit about it when we were kind of going through
Mhm,
your ingredient list, talking about non-nano zinc oxide, but I have a couple
mhm,
more questions in that arena. The
mhm.
first question is about titanium dioxide. I often
Mm.
see titanium dioxide in sunscreens. What's your perspective on titanium dioxide? Is there a reason why you guys don't use it in your sunscreen?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, titanium dioxide is another mineral filter, so it's similar to the non-nano zinc oxide that we use, but it is controversial
Okay.
because especially when it's in nano form, so
Mm,
the same like smaller form that I was talking about for nano zinc oxide, because there are just concerns about, inhalation and like long-term safety.
Mm.
And, really what it is just it's a white powder and it's made from the element titanium. And so it is just another mineral filter, and it's used oftentimes to make something like look brighter or
Got
more
it.
white. So like
mm,
for sunscreen, for toothpaste, makeup, anything like that. Um, Sometimes even for food, it can be used. And so, the FDA actually considers it generally safe, but there's just less, I guess, less safety around it in some of the studies. And so we just prefer to use the non-nano zinc oxide
Got it.
because it is considered safer.
Okay, so my other technical question is about full spectrum versus broad spectrum. Could you explain the
Mhm.
difference between those two and what Sky and Soul is?
Yeah, of course. So there is basically, so I want to go back to like SPF because I think like that'll help me explain it. But there's two rating systems for sunscreens, and then there's SPF, and then there's another one, it's written like PA plus.
Oh,
And
yes, the Korean sunscreens.
yes, yeah. And so SPF is protection against the UVB rays, which is the one for burning. And then
Okay.
the PA plus ones are the ones for UVA, so like the aging, that one that I was talking about.
Yeah.
And right now we just test for SPF because that's the one that's like most commonly used. But I would say if we were in PA plus, it would probably be like PA and multiple plus signs. Like the more plus signs you have, the more protected you are.
I'll
And
always see the
so,
Korean sunscreens and it's like PA plus 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 plus. I'm like, that one's
yeah.
got to be good. Like that one's working hard.
But how do
Yeah.
you
And have
test?
you,
How do you test for like for the PA plus plus plus? Because isn't
yeah.
it like you test someone's like aging?
Yeah, I'm actually not 100% sure on how they test the PA plus plus plus,
Because like
but
you'd have to like have it for
Right.
20, 30 years
That's such a good
and then
point.
yeah.
test if they've aged.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well.
Yeah, but
Totally.
going back to like broad spectrum versus full spectrum. So broad spectrum, I would say, is the one that's more commonly used and it protects against UVB and UVA rays. And ours is broad spectrum,
Okay.
but it's just the testing system is, still mainly for the UVB rays because that's like
Right.
for all SPF.
Like standard in this country too.
Yes.
Okay.
And so to be labeled broad spectrum, a sunscreen has to meet like FDA standards. And zinc oxide is one of the few, I guess, ingredients that naturally provides broad spectrum coverage like on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And I would say most modern sunscreens, especially mineral based ones, are broad spectrum because of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second question for sunscreen, I'm like a big spray
Mhm.
rather than apply on. Is the spraying less effective? And do you have spray options for Sky and Soul?
Yeah, I think this was also something that I really wasn't sure about in the beginning, like when I first found sunscreen, but it is just harder to like the way that it comes out. It's
Mm-hmm.
like something with like the signs of the actual spray like bottle itself. It's just not the same as like directly putting it on. And
Huh.
even with the sunscreen sticks,
Yeah.
because some people like to use like
The
the sticks
sticks.
to
Yeah.
it's really portable and everything, but it's just hard to get enough on because you really need to apply like a thick even layer everywhere. And so
Mm.
that too, like that's why we don't have those options, just because the putting it on directly on your skin is like the one that's been the most effective for a broad spectrum.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. No more spray. We're applying.
We're applying.
Yeah, I think before Sky and Soul, I used sprays a lot just because,
So
it's
easy.
just so easy to
Yeah.
But not
it's
as effective.
the feeling of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about the Sky and Soul sunscreen, but you also
Mhm.
have some other skincare products. So tell us about the other skincare products that you guys sell.
Yeah, so I would say our other most popular one is an everything cream moisturizer. It's kind of like I guess like a tallow balm, like a tallow moisturizer. And I would say I honestly use that one more because I use that one like really like all the time
Yeah.
for especially if it's like colder in some situations. Like I really use that one, and some people have used it to heal like burns or even like some wounds. Like I've really heard a lot of stories
Huh.
about it, which is
A good
awesome.
after sun product, perhaps?
Yes, yeah, it's a good after sun product
Love.
for sure.
So get the duo, everyone.
Yes. And I would say another product that we came out with is also a lip jelly. And so our lip jelly is I would say it's a thicker one. I wouldn't say it's like a gloss that you can just swipe on. It has like a pretty thick consistency, but it has SPF
Nice.
25. And so if you also
So
want to protect,
essential. I feel
yeah.
like that is like one thing that I always forget. I'm like it's
Mhm.
always my lips that are
Mhm.
red and burnt, and the only
Mhm.
the only chapstick that I use is the chapstick that I get from my dentist. So I will be getting the jelly.
Another area that
Right.
I get burned is my like scalp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I've noticed
that's
that
a
and
good
I'm like, why is
point.
my like hair red right there? I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I literally got a sun.
Maybe we need to make something for
Yes, I'm seeing an opportunity,
Ooh,
something for
okay.
hair. It's true. And it's like, it's just this tiny little strip. Like whatever you buy for that, like
Yeah.
it would last forever because you just need the
Uh-huh.
tiniest amount. But it
Yeah,
really does get hit.
I was gonna say for me, like, especially growing up, I would just use petroleum jelly a lot.
Yeah.
And that one, it feels good.
It attracts the sun. It's the worst thing you could put on.
Yeah.
It is like
Yeah.
you're asking to be
Yeah.
burned. I did the same thing. I put like Vaseline on my lips. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm protecting my lips from the sun.
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah, you
Right.
think there's like a barrier there or something.
Yes.
And then you guys have a tallow serum, right?
Yes, that one is one of our newer products, and
Okay.
actually it went out of stock for, like, the past 2 or 3 weeks
Congrats.
That's
because
a
we
great
just didn't
sign.
expect all these, like, people buying it, and
Yep.
so right now it will be replenished by, like, the end of the month, I would say.
Love. Okay. So everyone, by the time this podcast comes out, hopefully you guys will be back in
Yeah.
stock. How is it being a co-founder and entrepreneur with your boyfriend? Do you guys have boundaries there? What is the dynamic?
It's been a great learning experience, like, we've been together ever since we were in college, so
Nice.
literally, like, almost 7 years at this point, which is
Congrats.
crazy. Thank you. Yeah, and I would say we've definitely learned a lot like throughout like all the years, and I think that's why we've been able to work together because, just like learning how we each work and learning, what we're both good at and our strengths and weaknesses and all of that. And I mean, it's great. I love being able to collaborate with him. I think sometimes it definitely is like work and then personal things can like mix and all of that. So that's, I think, something that, if you ever work with your significant other or considering it, that's definitely something you would need to think about if you're like okay with that long
It's like
term.
no talking about work at the dining room
Right.
table.
Yeah. Are you
just
like, we're
having the
going on a date
boundary.
and we're Sky
No
and Soul?
work.
I don't even
Didn't
know.
exist.
Yeah. I don't even know that word.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's awesome.
exactly.
Yeah, you guys have like gone through like challenges together, can grow
I mean,
from
if
it.
there's one way to test a relationship or a business together, I
Truly.
mean, I feel like it's either like a make or break situation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
congrats on being successful with the business
I
and
love
as a
it.
partnership. That's truly incredible.
Thank you.
So tell us also like a little bit more about your entrepreneurial journey. You have the entrepreneurial bug in you. So what else are you working on right now?
Another project that I started recently, just back in February. So it was just a very random idea. And actually, I was a UGC creator before this. And so it stands for like user generated content and just making content for brands. So specifically for like health and wellness brands like Pop Flex Active, Under Armour, like a lot of like
Oh wow.
So
fitness
cool.
ones. Yeah. And so I would say that was like my first thing that I really did. And then for what I'm doing now, whenever I have like time aside from Sky and Soul, I had this random idea in February. Like I started seeing, actually my mom brought home a matchbox that she had bought while traveling. And so I basically just launched this Matchbox business. It was so random, but I just launched like a few designs and it was specifically for Valentine's Day. And I
Cute.
launched some ads and people started buying them. I was like, it was supposed to be like kind of for
Gosh.
fun and it still
Yep.
is, but now I'm just like testing different designs and
Wow.
I love that so much.
This
yeah.
seems like this is just the start for you. Like it seems like
Yes.
every year you're just gonna like do another thing and another thing, another thing.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, I think it's a good like creative outlet, like in comparison to Sky and Soul, which is like
Yeah.
very, skincare, science heavy. It's a good like creative outlet for me.
I feel like you're totally feeding like your creative side through that.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's where always the best projects come about.
Yes.
Is there any advice you'd give to someone who's just starting out their business and like what to do first thing?
Yeah, I would say definitely go for it. You
Mhm.
never know until you try on what can happen. And I would also say choose something that you really are passionate about because I know there's like mixed advice out there, like if you know something's going to make money or if you follow your passions and like don't even care about the money. But I would say like I feel like whenever I'm passionate about something, like
Yeah.
it's like doing it long term, like it
Yeah.
really is a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort. And
Right.
so really just choosing something that, it doesn't have to be a forever thing. Cause I think when I first started entrepreneurship, I was like, this is the one thing I'm gonna do. Like when I first started like freelancing a long time ago, or even just like other projects that I've started for fun. Like I would put a lot of pressure on myself to like make it that like, make it the main thing. If it's not successful, then I would like be upset about it. But I really think if you want to start something, like you could even just try it for a few months or even a few weeks and see if you like it. And it doesn't have to be like that's like the one thing and that's like the end of it. Like you could always start like multiple things and figure out what you really like.
Right. And
I
like
love
being
that
able to like
advice.
pivot quickly and not
Yes.
being set
Yes.
in your ways.
And I also
Mhm.
feel like there's sometimes a notion around entrepreneurship or starting a business. It's that fear of just getting started. like, you know, you're leading by example with your Matchbox business. You're like, I don't know, I'm just going to kind of do this and see what happens. And then you're like, oh, people kind of liked these. So I'm going to create a few more designs and put more ads out. And it's sort of like, you kind of just have to go for it, like in a small capacity before tackling the big thing. And like, I love that advice. Like,
and
just,
like, yeah, what's the
just
worst
dive
that'll
in.
happen? Like,
Right.
the worst that happens is
Exactly.
it doesn't go off.
The worst that happens is like, it's just like your sister and like your aunt that buys the Matchbox.
Perfect.
And then
Sounds
you're like, you know
great.
what, whatever.
But yeah, you have to be like
Exactly.
passionate. You have to believe in your product.
Right.
Yeah, and I think going off of that too, I think a lot of people are scared of what other people are thinking, you know, like naturally they're afraid of what someone might think or if people are judging them, but really you just have to do what you like.
You're going to be judged anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
You're such an inspiration. This is such a cool conversation. My last question is that you guys recently partnered with Howie Mandel. So first of all, congratulations. That's awesome. Is amazing. How has that been? How is Howie Mandel? Like, what's he like?
Yeah, you know, it's been great. Him and his team have been really, really nice. And they were actually the ones who initially reached out to us because, you know, Howie is like known for just really paying attention to what goes on his skin and his body and all. And so I thought it was a good fit in that sense.
Awesome.
And you know, the partnership is actually like we have like a few videos, but there's like still more that's coming with it. And aside from that, we have like a few more people that are, you know, in the family space and our moms and are pretty well known in the space that we're partnering with soon. So I think that'll be really exciting.
So cool. I can't wait to watch.
I love it. My last question is, what is one thing that you are obsessed with this month?
It's not like one specific thing, but I have been really just diving more into holistic health, from everything from like gut health to like sleep and just fitness, and really, I would say in connection to being a female and like women's health, because I kind of just had like a general lens on health, but then I started reading and like learning all these things like with our cycle and really seeing all the things that our cycle affects and hormones and all of that. So that's just one thing I've really been diving into, I would say, in the past few weeks.
I have so much to learn about like cycle syncing, seed cycling, all the workouts, the food. There's so much. There's so much to learn there. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I certainly feel more knowledgeable and empowered to make good decisions about the sunscreen that I wear, specifically when I purchase Sky and Soul. I love your tallow-based sunscreen and your moisturizer. And when that tallow-based serum comes back on the shelves, I am going to be the first one to order it. Thank you so much for being on. You're an inspiration. And this is such a wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much, Tricia.
Yeah, thank you so much to both of you too.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and are inspired to try some tallow-based sunscreen from Sky and Soul. A quick reminder that listeners of this podcast get 10% off any and all Sky and Soul products with the code DetoxYourDome. That's DetoxYourdome. We hope that you take advantage of this code and love the Sky and Soul tallow-based sunscreens as much as we do.